Hey everybody, welcome back to the Skookum Report. I'm Bob, and today I got an email from a gentleman named Joe Morris. It's called the Alaska Sasquatch. And he says to me, "Hi, I thought you might be interested in my story. Please feel free to call me if you have any questions or concerns." Parts of the story I've told before to bloggers, but in this one I'll go into a little more detail and a little more in depth. Take care, and I enjoy your YouTube videos. Thanks a lot, Joe, man. I appreciate that. I really do. Alright, here we go. It's Wrangell St. Elias National Park. And, assuming that's in Alaska. Here we go. In the summer of 2017, while I worked at a lodge in McCarthy, Alaska, located within Wrangell St. Elias National Park. Wrangell St. Elias National Park is the biggest and most wild national park in the United States. One of the ways I would relax and enjoy the area was I would walk down to the toe of the Root Glacier. The Root Glacier was a place I would watch rocks and ice slide and fall into the glacier lake. I often stopped and patiently waited for bears that often moved through the area. Towards the end of the summer, Neil and I decided to take a break and drive my pickup up to the toe of the Root Glacier. I drove my beat-up Toyota and slowly drove down the trails, usually only used by four-wheelers, towards the toe. While I was driving, I noticed a black animal's head just over a small hill. I immediately got a very unpleasant headache, and I told Neil, "Bigfoot." It just popped into my head and out of my mouth, and I don't know why. I stopped the truck and I shut it off. And getting out of the truck and taking care not to slam the doors, Neil and I walked into the glacier's scrub brush, where I thought the Bigfoot, or more likely an injured bear, went into the scrub. A little voice in the back of my head was screaming at me that this was not a bear. It was a person, and I should use extreme caution. However, Neil seemed not to be too concerned. Neil actually was the first to see this person. Later said it was covered in hair in the traditional Bigfoot arm swing and was moving very quickly. What I observed was a quick glimpse of a person who was covered in dark brown hair, and when the person ran, it moved with a speed that was impossibly fast. Nothing can move that fast, especially moving through the glacier rock, scrub, and the few downed trees. I'm an avid outdoorsman, and some would say to the point of obsession. I have spent many weeks alone in some of the most remote areas of Alaska. I have seen human footprints in extremely remote areas. Most of the tracks are larger than my size 10 work boots. Some were small as a child, and some were very enormous. I've often thought of that hairy man and how it did not seem to notice me or be concerned about me at first. At first, it seemed to be concentrating on Neil. For the brief second that I saw it glance at me, it was obviously in shock to see me. It looked shocked, as I was too, to see the hairy man. The hairy man moved approximately 75 yards instantly. Then I saw a quick glimpse of it when it was running and jumping over downed trees, then instantly shot forward into the forest and out of sight. Man, that's incredible. This was just a very short interaction with a hairy man. Not very exciting, but seeing one in person and not just footprints has confirmed that they are real to me. I am fortunate Neil was there and saw this creature as well. He was very excited and asked me if I had seen it. I told him I saw something. Neil told me that Bigfoot had the classic arm swing, and it took me a long time to realize I saw something that isn't even supposed to exist. And it says Cordova, Alaska. At first, the sighting didn't change how often I went camping, hunting, and hiking alone in remote areas of Alaska around Cordova. But that changed one night while I was camping about 20 miles from Cordova, Alaska. This is a remote Alaska area, and you can camp wherever you want. During my many trips out on the road, I would follow the old logging roads and cross at least 2 streams which were full of salmon in the late summer and early fall. Pushing through heavy alders on each side of the truck, I would drive the old logging roads which were unmarked, and the roads had to be committed to memory if you were to ever find your way out of that area. Man, I would be nervous as crap to get lost in some of those vast areas, man. That's crazy. It's like an ocean. You're just out in the middle of the ocean. those vast forests are so humongous. Okay, on an overcast moonless night in the fall near a pond that is located about 3 miles off of Copper River Highway, I set up a quick camp. Setting up camp for me is very easy. I take out a Solo Ranger, which is a stainless steel fire pit. I would use the fire pit and relax and either listen to music, or if the leaves were off the trees, my cell phone data would work, and I could read using my phone, or I could read a book. In this area, I often would walk the bear trails looking for large bear tracks that I would usually find. On occasion, I would also try to catch grayling that are in the pond. On one occasion, I saw a large human footprint, and this footprint was bigger than my size 10 work boot, as I had said. I did find the print slightly concerning, but it didn't stop me from enjoying my time in nature. Now, he sent in a picture of the print and the footprint, and I'm going to post that on the video right here. And also the bear tracks he was talking about. And he goes on to say, now back to the night that changed how and where I camp. On that fall night, which comes early in Alaska, I was relaxing outside in a chair, reading and watching the fire pit. I would use a headlight to read. As darkness quickly covered the area, I felt like I was being watched. Being in a heavy bear area, I thought it was best to get back to my SUV. I would occasionally glance at the fire, but being contained and being in a temperate rainforest, I wasn't concerned about the forest fires. As I relaxed in the SUV, getting ready to go to sleep, I heard ravens cawing at night. That got my attention. The noise was incredibly loud. The raven sounds eventually faded away, ending in a sound something like mimicking ravens, but messed up at the end of the call. And I think I know where you're going with this, man. I didn't think much of the ravens making noise at night, and they often will when there's a predator around, warning the rest of the murder. Or, is that right? Warning the rest of the... It says murder. I don't know why, but, well, we'll just go with it. Not even a minute after the ravens went quiet, I heard owls calling. The owls, which sounded like 2 of them, were incredibly loud. And they were a ways off, but super loud. The 2 owls called back and forth to each other until one made an owl call, which ended sounding like a man was screaming, like he was being slowly killed. Jeez. Seconds later, the entire side of the mountain behind the Grayling Pond, it sounded like screams from hell was coming out of there. It was loud. It was so loud at times it would shake my chest like a subwoofer, and it wouldn't stop. Occasionally, a scream would come from 100 yards from away from my SUV, but most sound like they were on the side of the mountain behind the Grayling Pond. There is no way to explain the hellish screams that came from the side of the mountain that night. I stayed and I listened to the calls and the screams, and I was amazed at what I was hearing. The screams would change and turn into super loud, crazing laughter. Not laughter like a person, but loud baritone laughter intermixed with women laughing and screaming like they're being tortured. I find it very hard to describe. If I had to guess, I would say 40 to 50 creatures would scream and howl and then laugh. Damn, that is nuts, bro. I would be out of there, like, quick, man. I'd be out of there. Once in a while, the screams would start suddenly sounding like a coyote and ending sounding like an enormous howler monkey. When the loudest creature sounded off, all of the others would be quiet for a few seconds. Then back to the screaming for minutes on end. Then bizarre, almost demonic sounding loud laughter. As strange as it sounds, it almost sounded like they were creatures playing some kind of game. Eventually, I decided I'm not getting any sleep staying here. So in the middle of the night, at around midnight, I started the SUV up and drove deeper into the forest to a location called the Sheraton Glacier. This area was about 2 miles from the Grayling Pond. I got out of the truck after shutting it off to listen to the sounds of the night and relieved myself. I was too far from the Grayling Pond with a mountain ridge between me and the pond to hear the screams. I couldn't hear anything except the glacier ice dripping, cracking, and making its normal sounds. And I was tired, and I was warm and sleepy in my SUV. I use a propane heater in the SUV at night, leaving the rear windows up and a crack. I fell asleep quickly. I don't know how long it had been, but I heard something falling on top of my SUV. Laying there in complete darkness, I heard the sound of small rocks bouncing off of my roof. I was tired, very sleepy, and calm. I remember the words of a native friend. He said, "Just ignore them, let them do their thing." So I fell back to sleep. In the morning, there was no sign of anything out of the ordinary. Enjoying a hot coffee and breakfast as daylight washed over the Sheridan Glacier. Waking up to the glacier in the early morning light is a very spiritual experience for me. I can imagine, man. It's an absolutely beautiful view that I often see alone, unless my girlfriend is with me, of course. I enjoyed my coffee and the beauty of the remote Alaskan wilderness. I often wonder why more people do not venture out to the Sheridan Glacier on the side you can drive up to, although the trail is pretty difficult. Weeks later, I spoke to a native friend of mine, and he informed me that he knew about the place and the screaming after dark. He actually brought a troubled teenage native to the area. He did it because the young man had a bad attitude and thought he knew everything, like many teens. While they were out there, the screams and the laughter, something sounded like wood knocks. There were screams and laughter and something that sounded like wood knocks. The young native teen asked to leave, and my friend, he wouldn't leave anytime he said he could leave anytime he wanted to, but he had to walk out by himself. Of course, my friend was just teaching him a lesson, and they left together after the teen was crying and begging to leave. I bet. Man, what are these creatures out near Cordova, Alaska that scream and laugh at night? I've seen their footprints, and they look close to humans. However, humans do not make sounds like I heard. Whatever makes the sounds in the forest and mountains, it doesn't deter me from going out hunting, fishing, berry picking, or hiking. However, I am now aware that there is at least one creature in Alaska that the state does not acknowledge. But Native Alaskans who have been here for thousands of years do recognize these creatures that the state of Alaska does not. I still visit the pond, but only in the daytime. It's a beautiful place that I'm always attracted to. However, I get the gut feeling I'm not going to have any issues with the creatures. During the day, at least, and on the side of the pond I visit, I get a gut feeling that a large area behind the Grayling Pond, mostly the mountain, is theirs. I've been in that area, but it's always spring, before the salmon runs, and it is beautiful. Unlike many other stories, mine is pretty tame. I wouldn't say so, man. That's something else to hear, I'm sure. I wish you had caught that on tape. He says, I had no fear. No creatures were spotted, just a bunch of yelling, laughing, and small pebbles on my SUV roof. I feel very fortunate. Man, that's a great story, bro. Both of the encounters. Joe Morris from Alaska. Thank you very much for sending that in. Man, I would be scared to death if I heard all that laughter, screaming, sounding like murder, torturing women, and oh my God, dude! By myself out in the vast wilderness of Alaska. That's something else. Thank you so much for your email, Joe. If you or anybody you know's had a Bigfoot encounter and you want it shared here on the Skookum Report, just put it down in an email, send it off to me at skookumreport@gmail.com. That's skookumreport@gmail.com. And I'll be sure to get it on the show for you. It's not a problem at all. You guys are awesome, and this is a safe place to share, and there won't be any ridicule here. And so let's see, what else? I just want to send a shout out to Big Mike. I haven't talked to him in a while. And also, I hope everybody had a wonderful January. It went by quick, didn't it? Like, super quick. It's 1/12 of the year. 11 more months till Christmas, people. Get your shopping done early. You guys are awesome. You take care. God bless you, and I'll see you on the next Skookum Report. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.